Adam Sandler has built up a $440 million fortune by creating silly and predictable comedies in the film industry. Despite being surrounded by his friends and family, he still manages to win millions of fans today, but appears to lack the approval of critics. A record holder in Golden Raspberry Awards, the annual prize for the worst films of the year, Adam Sandler divides opinions and makes everyone question whether what matters in Hollywood is making box office hit movies and not good movies. His transformation from being fired as a comedian on Saturday Night Live to becoming the worldwide darling and reference of comedy was largely due to his ability to tell silly and stereotyped jokes. Following the tired and true formula that made him famous, Adam Sandler skillfully juggles his production company, Happy Madison Productions, keeping it a Hollywood heavyweight. How? By generously extending his success to his closest pals and production crew, creating a network so vast it rivals the Hollywood sign itself. After all, did Adam Sandler become a millionaire by playing the fool, or is he a business genius? Why is he loved by studios but hated by critics? To answer that, we first need to understand how we got here in the first place. Back in '87, Adam Sandler kicked off his TV journey with a bang on The Cosby Show, flexing his stand-up chops. It was his on-stage charisma that caught the eye of comedian heavyweight Dennis Miller, who threw him into the ring at Saturday Night Live. At SNL, Sandler unleashed his wild side, dishing out iconic characters and unforgettable moments. But after 5 wild years, the SNL gig suddenly went belly up, leaving Sandler scratching his head and wondering if his comedy train had hit the final station. But old Adam wasn't one to throw in the towel. Despite his SNL setback, he kept hustling. Fast forward to '95 and boom, Billy Madison hit the screens, catapulting Sandler into leading man territory. Playing a goofball heir aiming to snag his dad's fortune, he proved he was more than just a funny face. After Billy Madison, it was the turn of Happy Gilmore, a foul-mouthed hockey player who discovers his talent in the sophisticated game of golf. It was with this sequence that Adam began to build his reputation as a performer of foolish characters and bizarre scripts that displeased film critics. That's how he scored big in '98 with The Waterboy and The Wedding Singer, both making over $100 million in the United States alone within just 1 year. This success provided him with the means to now build his own production company, and he wouldn't stop there. The following year he released Big Daddy, which became a major classic and one of the actor's most beloved films. It showed that besides goofy comedy, Adam Sandler could also deliver sentimentality in the same movie. The film, which had a budget of $36 million, grossed $230 million at the box office. With the success of Big Daddy, Sandler signed a contract with Sony Pictures that promised him 20 to 25% of the gross profits from the films, in addition to a salary of $20 million per film. The then chief executive Amy Pascal was charmed by Sandler's talent in The Wedding Singer and knew from then on that she needed him. They offered him a production home within their studios. With the contract, Adam was able to create freely, and Sony had the advantage of having the darling of the moment in their camp. Thus, in partnership with Jack Jaraputo, Adam Sandler created Happy Madison Productions, a film production company named after his first 2 cinema successes, Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore. With Happy Madison, Adam not only began producing films in which he starred, but also films featuring his friends. And it was with his own production company that the world began to wonder, is Sandler a genius or an idiot? People that think that Adam produces or acts in all Happy Madison films are mistaken. In fact, out of the more than 50 films produced by the company, half was starred by Sandler's longtime friend, Rob Schneider. But not only him, other friends of Adam such as Chris Rock, Kevin James, and David Spade have starred in many of Madison's films. The first movie of the production company, in fact, was produced and starred by Rob Schneider, Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, and was a great box office success. Despite the majority of Happy Madison films, with small exceptions like Reign Over Me and Funny People, not exceeding 50% approval from critics, and some even being classified as one of the worst films ever made with 0% approval, they are most box office successes. By 2020, the company has grossed about $3.9 billion. Among its biggest hits are The House Bunny, Paul Blart, Mall Cop, and Grown Ups. The production company grew and tried its hand in other genres. The subsidiary Madison 23 Productions was created to focus on the production company's dramatic films. It was responsible for Reign Over Me in 2007, one of the most praised films for Sandler's performance, where he plays a father grieving the loss of his wife and daughters in September 11 attacks. The subsidiary also released Funny People in partnership with Judd Apatow in 2009. But it didn't last long before it ceased operations, most likely due to poor box office performances. Since Reign Over Me only made $2 million in profit and Funny People didn't even manage to break even. The same happened with Scary Madison Productions, which was geared towards horror films and had a short journey, having released only The Shortcut. But after being a box office failure, Scary Madison, which had barely started, already saw its end. But Madison managed at least one hit outside the usual axis of comedy films in the world of TV shows. In partnership with Columbia TriStar Domestic Television, Happy Madison produced series for the studio that won a good portion of fans, leading their shows to be renewed for years. Rules of Engagement had 6 seasons and The Goldbergs lasted for 10 seasons. Despite being considered a good actor and comedian, few agree with his choices as a film producer. Because of events like the failure of its subsidiaries, Adam learned that his comedy formula sells and he stuck to it. If we analyze the films produced by Happy Madison, whether starred by Sandler or not, they are all very similar. A failed character who needs to prove something to himself, stereotype jokes, questionable decisions. These 3 pieces have made him an extremely rich, but not very beloved Hollywood producer and actor. Sandler understood what worked and began to apply the formula, leaving aside the role of the fool to act as a cinema genius. But why is he still hated by critics? In 2003, Adam Sandler surprised everyone by taking on the lead role in Punch Drunk Love, directed by the legendary Paul Thomas Anderson. It was a total departure from his usual comedic gigs, giving into drama for the first time. Despite the skeptics, Sandler's performance left audiences and critics stunned. Sure, he kept some of his trademark quirks, but here emotions like anger, frustration, and loneliness gave depth to his character, showcasing a whole new side of his talent. He admitted that he's not bothered by critics, he's just out to make people laugh and have a blast with his buddies. But truth be told, he doesn't need to lose sleep over bad reviews. Even after The Ridiculous Six got slammed and sparked controversy, Netflix surprised everyone by renewing their deal with Happy Madison Productions for 4 more flicks in 2017. Love him or hate him, Adam's movies pull the crowds. Netflix even spilled the beans that Adam's flicks topped the charts in over 50 countries, and they always draw a massive crowd in theaters, despite the drama. According to reporter Walt Hickley from the statistical blog 538, associated with ABC, when analyzing critical reception and box office performance, we can categorize Adam Sandler's films into 3 groups, which he has named The Paydays, The Pineapples, and He's Trying. The first group, The Paydays, consists of films that made between 200 to 400 million at the box office, but received no more than 50% approval from critics. The Pineapples, on the other hand, are categorized as Sandler's most disliked films, earning less than 200 million at the box office and not exceeding 25% approval. The last group, called He's Trying, received 40 to 80% approval but performed under 100 million at the box office, with one exception. Guess which group has the most films? Yep, The Paydays. This group includes films like Big Daddy, Grown Ups, Click, Just Go With It, and 50 First Dates, for instance. These films succeed because they fit the Adam Sandler brand, characterized by silly, fun scripts with questionable taste jokes, predictability, and ease of consumption, capable of entertaining the whole family. Walt Hickley even goes further, stating that the Payday films are basically like a generic store brand from the supermarket. Putting Sandler on a movie poster is using the same marketing strategy as labeling a package of rice as fluffy rice. Neither the generic brand rice nor the image of Adam Sandler are enhancing the overall quality of the product's consumption. Both are providing a basic, predictable product that will make money for its producer. The Pineapples consists of Sandler's biggest flops. And when we say an Adam Sandler movie is a flop, it rarely has to do with its script or criticism. It means that it didn't fulfill its main role, making money. Films like Little Nicky, Jack and Jill, That's My Boy, and Blended share elements similar to the Payday category, but for some reason they were not box office hits. Even though they paid for themselves, they didn't bring the expected returns for an Adam Sandler movie. The last category, affectionately called by the reporter as He's Trying, can be divided into 2 subcategories. The first consists of films that made Sandler's name, like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, and The Wedding Singer, which were early career films that, while not brilliant, are good comedies and kicked off the Adam Sandler formula. The second subcategory gives space to dramas and dramedies that Adam performed over the years, such as Punch Drunk Love, Spanglish, Reign Over Me, and Funny People. Films that serve to show another side of Adam, proving that he knows and can do different things, but they did not return at the box office. Despite having already shown that he can be taken more seriously in these projects, Adam is a brand now. Also, despite surprising back in 2002 when no one believed in his talent with his performance in Punch Drunk Love, the film did not perform well in theaters, making about $25 million adjusted for inflation. Definitely one of the worst box office performances by Adam, considering that 17 of his films surpassed 100 million in revenue and 13 of them made 100 million just in the USA. And it is for this reason that Adam Sandler today is considered one of the highest paid actors in the world. According to Celebrity Net Worth, Adam Sandler starred in more than 50 box office hits, about 20 of which paid the actor roughly $20 million in salary alone. This adds up to about $400 million to his fortune. But Sandler also receives beyond the salary a percentage of the box office of each film. And unlike most deals, Adam does not receive by the percentage of the net value, but of the gross value. Since 2014, Happy Madison has been working in partnership with Netflix on a deal that at the time reached $275 million for Sandler to produce and star in 4 films. Despite the low critical scores, Adam's films on Netflix have been watched for over 500 million hours, making the partnership be renewed in 2017 and in 2020 earning just that year a gain of $41 million for the actor. The partnership brought great premieres to Netflix and great films for Adam's career, proving that he still knows what he does. Among them are Hustle, Murder Mystery, and You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, which saw the debut of his daughters. And right there lies another big criticism of his films: nepotism. You may have noticed that Adam Sandler works with the same people in his movies. This choice is not arbitrary. Adam enjoys working with his friends, which is why he created his own Sandlerverse, that at the same time offers familiarity to the audiences and keeps the actor's friends and some family members employed. In one of the biggest classics of the Sandlerverse, Adam Sandler managed to bring all his best friends together to make a movie. Take Grown Ups, for example. It's a classic Sandlerverse flick where he rounds up his pals for a weekend getaway. You've got David Spade, Kevin James, Rob Schneider, Chris Rock, and even Steve Buscemi. It's not just the jokes that make it a hit, it's the chemistry these guys have. They riff off each other, crack jokes, and it feels like you're hanging out with your own crew. In the movie You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, his daughters were cast in the lead roles at a time when Hollywood has been criticized for the industry's nepotism. The film, which was well acclaimed and even described as potentially becoming the best movie of the actor's career, was initially criticized for its clear nepotism. However, in the end, Adam's daughters surprised everyone with their performances and received praise, leaving behind many viewers drawn by the controversy. This makes us wonder, was it a strategy or just pure nepotism on Adam's part? Some fans even cooked up theories about why Adam's movies are a family affair. Adam's response: I come up with an idea, call my buddies, and they're like, genius. Nah, we're just shoot the breeze, crack jokes, and hope for the best. So why does Adam stick with the same crew? Simple, it works. We know what we're getting when we see a Happy Madison Productions flick. But will the audience keep lapping it up, or will it get stale? His movies often follow a predictable formula. Loser with bad luck turns hero. Even when he tries something new like Hotel Transylvania, it's the same old shtick. But hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it? But after all, is he a genius or a fool? From a business standpoint, if the movies make money, Adam's a genius. Cinema has always had a commercial component, as it is an industry that produces films to be shown to the public to generate revenue. However, in recent years we have seen a transformation in cinema, where the commercial aspect has become more pronounced. Global cinema is increasingly chasing profit, filled with remakes, sequels, and predictable scripts that line the pockets of studios. Is what Adam Sandler does really so different from what Disney, Universal, Paramount, and Sony are doing? Martin Scorsese has criticized Marvel, and Chris Gore elaborated on why 99% of today's movies are trash. So is Adam Sandler really so wrong to focus on the commercial side of his films? Adam Sandler stopped reading reviews of his movies in '95 after releasing Billy Madison. Critics have always seen him as a fool, but in 2019, Sandler's performance in Uncut Gems is considered the best of his career. Perhaps the movie's name itself is a great analogy for Sandler himself. He could have been a rough diamond at the start of his career, who was learning and absorbing knowledge to then be polished into a great actor, with a keen commercial sense for cinema. Now, what do you think about Adam Sandler? Is he a genius or a fool? Leave a comment below. And now, if you want to dive into the enigma of Apple's innovation or the lack of it in recent years, with people saying innovation died with Steve Jobs, click on the video popping up on the screen right now for an insightful take on this hot topic. Trust me, it's worth a watch. And that wraps up for this segment. Catch you later.